episode of the Work Loving Podcast. I am your host, Keana W. Mitchell, and today I am super excited because it's Thursday and we get to do another question and answer episode. So this week, the main episode was about ghosting, breadcrumbing, and modern dating games. So today we are going to answer questions regarding ghosting, breadcrumbing, and modern dating games, and I am very excited that we're going to get a chance to talk about that. So in this week's main episode, we talked about ghosting, breadcrumbing, and modern dating games. And we talked about how many people are dealing with that right now. And let me tell you, the messages that I received and the stories that I hear from people are like, wow, so many people have been like, Keana, this is exactly what I'm going through. Or I didn't even know there was a name for this behavior. And a lot of people have expressed this to me, which is why we actually did the episode. So today, we are going to talk about some of the things to recognize, what to do if this is happening to you. And since this is a question and answer episode, we're going to be answering some of the top questions that I get regarding this. But first, let us do a recap of the episode we had yesterday, okay? So, yesterday's episode, we talked about ghosting, breadcrumbing, orbiting, binging, love bombing, and just all the modern dating games that have become way too normalized in today's dating culture. And we didn't just define them, we talked about the emotional impact that they have on your self-worth. So when we talk about ghosting, it leaves you with unanswered questions and emotional confusion. Breadcrumbing keeps you stuck in a pattern and a cycle of hope and disappointment. Orbiting creates emotional attachment without any real connection. And love bombing pulls you in with intensity only to leave you destabilized later. So these behaviors aren't just frustrating, they are emotionally harmful, and they create anxiety, self-doubt, and a sense of just not being enough. We also talked about what psychologists like Dr. Rami, Dr. Kirsten Neff, and Dr. John Gottman says about all these patterns and how they are rooted in avoidance, low emotional maturity, and fear of intimacy. And most importantly, we talked about how to protect your self-worth when encountering these behaviors. So today, we are going to answer some questions regarding yesterday's episode. But before we do that, here's an ad from one of our sponsors. Before we dive back into today's conversation, I want to take a minute to personally invite you into something very special, into my You Are Worth Loving signature coaching program. This is my 12-week trauma-informed coaching experience designed to help you break unhealthy patterns, rebuild your self-worth, and create emotionally safe relationships that actually feel good for your soul. If you've been listening to the Work Loving podcast and thinking, I'm ready for deeper support, this is your next step. Inside the program, we work together one-on-one to help you reconnect with your voice, your boundaries, and your confidence so you can stop settling for relationships that drain you and start choosing ones that honor you. I'm only taking 3 clients for the month of May because I honestly want to give each person the time, energy, and care they deserve. So, if you've been waiting for a sign to start your healing journey, this is it. Click the Stan Store link in the show notes to apply or learn more. You are not too much. You are not broken. You are worthy of love, and you are worthy of relationships that feel safe, healthy, and whole. Now, let's get back to today's episode. All right, question number 1. Why do people ghost even when things seem to be going well? This is a great question because it does happen, right? You think that things are going well, and then all of a sudden, that person stops contacting you. Ghosting, guys, is an avoidance strategy. It's what people do when they don't have the emotional maturity, communication skills, or courage to be honest. Psychologists like Dr. Rami DeRosa explain that ghosting is rooted in emotional avoidance, and it's easier for people to disappear than it is to have a valuable or vulnerable conversation. Sometimes people ghost because they're overwhelmed. Sometimes because they're dating multiple people and don't want to take accountability or responsibility for their actions. And sometimes it's because they fear conflict. And at other times, it could be because they were never emotionally available in the first place. They just enjoyed the attention. But here's the truth. Someone who is secure, emotionally mature, and ready for a relationship, they do not disappear. They communicate, they follow through, they show up. Ghosting hurts because it leaves you with no closure. Your brain tries to fill in the blanks, and that can often lead to self blame. But the absence of communication is communication. Their silence is clarity. It's not the closure you wanted, but it's exactly the closure that you needed. If someone ghosts you, the most important thing you can do is not chase after them. Don't question your worth, and do not internalize their behavior. Instead, remind yourself that someone who is capable of loving you will never disappear on you. All right, question number 2. How do I know if someone is breadcrumbing me or just busy? Oh my goodness. I love this question. Love it because it's such a good question. Because breadcrumbing can feel subtle, right? And it's very confusing. It's inconsistent and it can often hide behind excuses like, I'm just too busy. But guys, here's the thing. Here's the difference. Busy people still make time to do things that they like to do. Busy people still make time to hang out with people they want to hang out with. So breadcrumbing people make excuses. A busy person might, and here are some examples between busy and breadcrumbing, okay? So a busy person might say, hey, this week is crazy, but I really want to see you. How about Saturday? A breadcrumbing person might say, we should hang out sometime, but never follow through. A busy person communicates clearly. A breadcrumber keeps you guessing. A busy person shows effort. A breadcrumber gives you crumbs. A random text here, a story view, a compliment, just enough to keep you emotionally invested. Psychologists call breadcrumbing a form of intermittent reinforcement, meaning that the inconsistency is what makes the connection feel more addictive because you start waiting for the next crumb, hoping that it means something. But that is not the case. Here are the signs it's breadcrumbing, okay? So if someone is breadcrumbing you, some of the signs could be that they never initiate real plans, they disappear when you ask for clarity, they only reach out when they're bored or lonely. You feel anxious, confused, or on hold. The relationship never goes anywhere. So if someone is genuinely busy, there is a difference, okay? You will see that they're making an effort. You will still feel chosen. You will still feel valued. You will still feel like a priority. If someone is breadcrumbing you, you will feel uncertain, insecure, and emotionally drained. Your body will know the difference. So just trust those feelings and trust that intuition and that gut feeling that you have that, something's not right. This is probably not a relationship that I need to be in. Question 3. What should I do if someone keeps orbiting me after ghosting? I love this because a lot of times we don't think that a lot of these dating games can go together, right? We think that they're all like exclusive to that one particular game. But a lot of times, these dating games can go hand in hand, and people can use multiple dating games on you at one time. So this is a really good question about what to do if someone keeps orbiting you after ghosting. So we discussed in a podcast that orbiting is when someone ghosts you, but still watches your stories, likes your posts, or keeps tabs on you online. It's emotional confusion at its finest. So here is what orbiting really means. They want access to you without responsibility. They want to feel connected without committing. And they want the emotional benefit of your presence without the effort of a relationship. Orbiting is not interest. It's ego. And I'm going to say it again. Orbiting is not interest. It's ego. It's validation. It's someone wanting to keep you in their emotional orbit without offering you anything real in return. So, what should you do? What do you need to do? First, don't read into it. A like is not an effort. A story view is not communication. Digital crumbs are not connection. Second, protect your peace. If seeing this name pop up triggers anxiety or keeps you emotionally attached, we can mute them, you can restrict them, you can block them. And here's the thing, you're not being petty. You are protecting your healing. Third, remind yourself, if they wanted to talk to you, they would. If they wanted to show up, they would. If they wanted to choose you, they would. So just remember that orbiting is emotional noise and that you don't have to listen to it. All right, question number 4. Oh, I love this one. How do I stop falling for people who play dating games? This is an amazing question because I feel like this question goes deep to the heart of everything that we talk about, right? So, when we talk about how to stop dating people who play these games, it's important to know that this is about patterns. It's about wounds. It's about what feels familiar. So if you find yourself dating the same person over and over and over in different people, it's not because this is what you want, and it doesn't mean this is what you like, but it's about the patterns. It's about the wounds that you've experienced and what your nervous system views as familiar. People who play dating games often activate old emotional wounds. So if you grew up with inconsistency, unpredictability, or emotional distance, your nervous system may confuse that chaos with chemistry. Psychologists call this a trauma bond. So when your body is drawn to what feels familiar, even when it's unhealthy. So, how do you break this bond? How do you break the cycle? The first thing I want to say is awareness. Awareness, awareness, awareness. When you're able to notice patterns, notice the type of people you're drawn to, notice how your body feels, whether it's anxious or excited, unsettled or helpful or hopeful, then you will begin to notice what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and understand that when there's an attraction without peace, that is a red flag. The next thing I would suggest would be just slow down. Do not rush emotional intimacy. Don't build a story about someone before you see their consistency. Time will reveal the truth. The next thing I would say is raise your standards. Not in a superficial way, but like in an emotional way. Consistency brings attraction, right? So clarity becomes attraction. Emotional availability becomes attraction. So instead of just raising your standards like, oh, they have to look a certain way, they have to have this amount of money. No. Raise your standards in a way that helps you with your emotional awareness. So we can say things and also help you have a healthy relationship. So if we are going to raise our standards, we will raise our standard with consistency. How we expect someone to show up in that relationship. When we're raising our standards, we raise our standards about clarity. What is expected in a relationship, and we're clear on where the relationship is going or not going. When we're talking about raising our standards, we're talking about emotional availability, where we are attracted and we only look for people who are emotionally available to us. Because all of these things, consistency, clarity, emotional availability, can become attraction. So it's important that we raise our standards with what we will accept, what we won't accept, our negotiables and our non-negotiables. Another thing I would love to suggest is just do the inner work. Healing attachment wounds, rebuilding self-trust, and learning to regulate your emotions, they can help you choose differently. So when we do the work and we are rebuilding and learning to regulate our emotions and healing our wounds, we will be able to have confidence that we will be able to attract a person who is not playing games. When you feel secure within yourself, you stop chasing people who make you feel insecure. And finally, this is important. The right person will not confuse you. They will not breadcrumb you. They will not ghost you. They will not play games. They will show up with clarity, consistency, and emotional safety. And you absolutely deserve that. All right, so let's take a look at question number 5. How do I rebuild my confidence after a breakup or rejection? This is an amazing question, and I get a form of this question almost in every episode in some shape, form, or fashion. And I continue to address it because it's just important to know that there are things you can do to rebuild your confidence after a breakup or rejection. So breakups and rejections can shake your confidence in ways that feel deeply personal. Even when you know that relationship wasn't right, it can still leave you feeling like, am I not enough? You might question your worth. You might question your desirability and your ability to trust again. So in this situation, there are some steps I would suggest that you try to regain your confidence. The first step in rebuilding your confidence is emotional validation. Allow yourself to feel your feelings. Allow yourself to feel the sadness, the disappointment, or anger, because suppressing your emotions doesn't heal them. Only acknowledging them does. The next thing I would suggest is separate your worth from the relationship, because you are worthy whether you are in a relationship or not. You're worthy just because you're you. You're worthy just because you exist. So someone's inability to love you well does not mean you are unlovable. Someone's decision to leave does not mean you are not enough. Their choice reflects their emotional capacity and not your value. I will also encourage you, and I do this a lot, reconnect with yourself. Because after a breakup, it's easy to lose your identity in the we. So take some time to rediscover what you love, what brings you joy, what hobbies you used to like to do, what makes you feel alive, and then rebuild your life around your passions, your friendships, and your goals. Confidence also grows through action. So set small goals, keep promises to yourself, do things that remind you of your strengths. Confidence is not a feeling, it's a practice. And finally, surround yourself with people who see you clearly, people who are going to remind you of your worth, people who speak life into you. Healing doesn't happen in isolation, it happens in community. And the great thing about this is like you get to build your village, you get to pick your community. So make sure that you surround yourself with people who can remind you of who you are, what your purpose is, and speak life into you. You are still worthy of love. You are still lovable. And you are still enough, even if someone chooses not to choose you. Question number 6. Let's see. How do I know if someone is emotionally available? Oh my goodness. This is a good question. So, when we talk about emotional availability, it's not about how much someone talks or how charming they are. It's about how consistently they show up. So, here are some signs that someone is emotionally available, okay? Emotionally available. Signs that they're emotionally available. So, number 1, they communicate clearly and honestly. They follow through on their word. They take accountability. They are open about their feelings. They make space for your emotions. They are consistent, not chaotic. They move at a healthy pace, and they don't disappear when things get real. Now, emotionally unavailable people often show patterns like this. They have hot and cold behavior. They avoid deep conversations. They keep you at an arm's length. They prioritize convenience over connection. So if someone is prioritizing convenience over connection, it could be a sign that they are definitely emotionally unavailable. They're vague about their intentions. Psychologists like Dr. Stan Tatkin says that secure people create safety. They're not going to leave you guessing. Secure people don't make you question your worth. Secure people don't make you feel like you're asking for too much. So if you want to know if someone is emotionally available, watch their patterns, not their potential, not their words. Watch their actions and their patterns. Consistency is the clearest indicator of emotional readiness. Question number 7. How long should I wait before dating after being hurt? Okay, so I have to just be honest with you guys. There's really no universal timeline for healing. What matters is emotional readiness, not the calendar. So I just like to say you're ready to date when you're not looking for someone to fix your pain. You're ready to date when you're not trying to replace the last person. You're ready to date when you can trust your intuition again. You're ready to date when you feel grounded and not desperate. You are ready to date when you set boundaries without fear and when you're choosing from clarity and not loneliness. So if dating feels heavy, overwhelming, or anxiety inducing, it is okay to take a break. It's all right to take a break from healing. Not healing, I'm sorry. It's okay to take a break from dating, but continue the process of healing because healing is not a race. And you don't have to rush back into dating just because you feel pressure from society or because you feel like you don't want to end up alone. So when you're ready, you'll know. Your body will feel calmer, your mind will feel clearer, and your heart will be open and not wounded. Okay, let's see. Question number 8. What does a healthy relationship actually look like? Now, this is a good question because a lot of us, myself included, did not grow up in environments where healthy relationships were something we could watch, right? A lot of us grew up in homes where it was either a single parent home or even if our parents were married, it was a situation where it was not a healthy relationship. So having a healthy relationship model for us is unfortunately something a lot of us have not seen or had the chance to experience. So it's important for us to know what healthy relationships are so that we can have a healthy relationship. So I love this question. when we're talking about healthy relationships, one thing I do want to point out is that they are not perfect, okay? So you're looking for that perfect relationship and thinking a perfect relationship is healthy. That's not the case. Healthy relationships are not perfect, but they are consistent and they are steady. They are emotionally safe. A healthy relationship looks like clear communication, mutual effort on both parts, emotional availability, respect for boundaries, shared values, accountability, kindness, consistency, and safety. Dr. John Gottman says the foundation of a healthy relationship is friendship. So, knowing each other, supporting each other, and choosing each other every day, daily. Dr. Terry Orbach emphasizes that clarity and communication are essential, and attachment theory teaches us that secure love feels calm and not chaotic. So, healthy love doesn't confuse you. It does not make you question your worth, and it does not leave you anxious or guessing. It feels like a partnership, not a performance. So if you have never experienced healthy love before, it may feel unfamiliar at first, even boring. But that boring is actually peace, it's stability, it's emotional safety, and that is the foundation of lasting love. So these are just some of the characteristics of what a healthy relationship might actually look like. And I think maybe before the end of the year, I might do a podcast just on healthy relationships and what they look like. So as you navigate the dating scene or you navigate a new relationship, we'll know what healthy actually looks like. Because we're all aware of what unhealthy is, but I think it's really important for us to know what healthy is. So we will definitely do an episode about that. And thank you so much for asking that question, because I feel like you were not the only one out there who needed answers to that question. So before we close today's episode, I do want to take a minute to share something very close to my heart, and that is my album, The Soul of a Woman, which is available now on Spotify. I created this album during a season of deep healing, a season where I was rediscovering my voice, my strength, and my identity after a heartbreak. Each song of this album was written from a place of truth, the truth of what it means to love deeply, to lose deeply, and to rise again. These songs are for women who have felt unseen, for women who have questioned their worth, for women who have had to rebuild themselves piece by piece. Music has a way of reaching places that words alone can't touch. And I know from a personal experience that music has been my go-to to help me through a lot of situations. So my hope is that this album becomes a companion for you, something that holds you, comforts you, and reminds you that you are stronger than you look. Songs on the album are there and are meant to help you heal, to help you rise, and to help you love again. And start with getting to know yourself. So if you haven't listened yet, I invite you to stream it today. I do have a link for the album in the show notes, and I encourage you to let the music meet you where you are. All right, well, guys, thank you so much again for spending time with me today. These question and answer episodes are powerful, and I love that we do them. So if today's episode resonated with you, I encourage you to take a minute to reflect on what stood out. What patterns do you want to break? What boundaries do you need to set? And what kind of love do you want to choose moving forward? Remember, you are worthy of clarity. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of consistency. And you're worthy of a love that feels safe, steady, reciprocal. And you never, ever, ever have to settle for emotional gains or mixed signals. If you have any questions you want me to answer in next week's episode, just send them in. And the email address for you to send them in to me is in the show notes as well. So just go there, click the link in the show notes to get the address to send me your questions. And if you are unable to do that, you can find me on my social media pages, and you can just send me a DM with your questions, and I will still get them and answer your questions, because I absolutely love hearing from you, and I would love to hear from each and every one of you. So until next time, take care of your heart, honor your worth, and remember, you are worth loving. Bye-bye. I had to